So, party people, what up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Fokis On Hip-Hop. We are live from Witten, Germany, okay? And we are here with a dear friend, a super legend, a brother of mine, Lakmann one. What's up, my brother?
What's up, brother? Thank you for having me here.
No, thank you for having me here.
Yeah, but this possibility is nice because what I wanted to say first is like it's always I was exciting about this interview because it's a different thing if you make an interview with a journalist or something from the hip hop scene, and he asks you like all the time the same questions, like like from a promotion, from a promo you have. Or if you make a talk with someone who already knows you, who has been a friend of you, who slept at your place, we shared the stage together, we've been on tour together. So I was exciting and I was asking what kind of questions, because you already knew so much of our living and procedure, blah, blah, blah. And so this is what I wanted to say. I'm looking forward.
Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah,
I appreciate
sure.
it. I know you're busy, but listen, first things first, hip-hop.
Yeah.
Hip-hop. Do you remember when was the moment that you said, "Oh, I want to do this"? Mm-hmm. Do you remember this moment?
This was 1992, and this was the first German hip hop show concert I visited. This was in Dortmund, which is the next big town from Witten. 10 minutes from here, and this was a Christmas concert from the legendary group called Too Strong.
Too Strong.
Too Strong, yeah. This was like 3 guys, 2 MCs and a DJ, and we went with some people from Witten, took the train, went to the gig. And
how many people went?
We went like 15 guys. This was like this was like the Graffiti and the writers from Witten who came to Dortmund because in the early 90s, Dortmund was like the Europe capital for graffiti. They came from everywhere, from Amsterdam, from Berlin, from London, from Paris. They came to bomb the yard because it was not so secured place. It was kind of open, and all the area around the station and the yard is full of graffiti today still. So this was a very, very rough scene, and a lot of writers, because Too Strong is also this writer gang. They always mix this culture with rap and writing, and these guys from Witten and myself, we get there. We was very exciting, and from this moment we tried to make like our own lyrics in German and put some lyrics on.
So before that, you wasn't really rapping.
No, only listening and to U.S. rap and rapping the lyrics that you could read on the cover from the CD booklet had always the lyrics, and this was like the only thing you could improve your English and understand what the people actually saying. So there was a kind of language barrier at first, and this make us for German rap for the first time like the access to make wordplay and to express yourself better than in English, right?
To understand. So you see this show, you get there, you see the show. And then after you was just like, hey, I gotta do this.
Infected on the first, because this show was so crazy that when, like I said, it was an Xmas show, and at the end of it, the Christmas tree that they had in the middle was burning. It took fire. This was
on purpose or by mistake?
No, by mistake, I guess. Not as big as that they had to leave the location. But this was the time everybody was jumping in the crowd and waving their hands and shouting every lyric, and this was like the half of the audience, the people were like active hip hop. They were like MCing or producers or breakers or graffiti writers, and this was like the audience. Yeah, they were all like active part of a
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So then what happens after that? You get home and you say, yo, I'm going to start.
Yeah, I was very inspired. I had like on cassette like the first demo tape from Too Strong, and there were also some other songs from the beginning at the German hip hop scene, like Stieber Twins, Cora A, Heidelberg Torch. You know the names. You already you all met the guys, and this was like a cassette tape I put in a Walkman and listening to for like this was so special at the time. You had like this cassette and at your Walkman, and you had to listen. You could listen to a whole year to this song, and so you could take every moment of it and every lyric, and this was the great inspiration. From this point on, I wanted to start my own lyrics.
Wow.
And this brought us to the next obstacle. Where could you get your own beats from?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because at this time nobody was really producing very well.
Yeah. So, all right, now you're rapping. When did you form? Because of course you're part of a legendary hip hop group. How do you pronounce the name? Creutzfeld
Jakob.
Creutzfeld Jakob, and that's cow disease.
Mad cow disease.
Mad cow.
You know, I told you, Sebastian Disciple always called us, "Hey, mad cow disease, mad cow disease." What's up, my brother? Mad cow disease.
How did you guys come up with this name?
I don't know, because I think I think at the German pop scene and the early rap scene was a lot of commercial and party music, and we wanted to make people against it and to think about it. Let's say like music for the head, that you have to think about it. That the words come first, the lyrics. For this, we said like music for your brain. And you know that this BSE, mad cow disease, attached the brain at the cows and at the brain of the people. So we make let's make our music like attacking the brain of people first. And if you listen to our first songs, this was like very heavy music to think about it. It was not a body beat and chorus with a melody on it. And
I know when I went to the first show, which was Die Trompette, that I saw the group together, and because I know you as Lakmann first, So then when I hear this stuff, I was like, it was like a whole other thing. You was rapping super fast,
super aggressive,
like punk style. The beats were like hard, dark beats. I was like, yo. So I know that you mentioned that. Well, a lot of people tell me that, like, yo, the album was like a classic.
It's a classic.
Yo, classic. And then you guys were signed to like
we were signed from an independent record label called Put the Needle to the Records, and then we had the publishing rights to Def Jam Germany, which was like Universal Records, Interscope.
So the first album?
Yeah, the first album. Okay. This was how you say when two
like a joint venture.
Joint venture, when the sub label gives the right to the bigger label to get the money for the promotion. And
all right, but so when that happened, like how did that happen? So first you get the needle to the groove situation, and did they already have the Def Jam situation?
No, we had first put the needle to the record, and we had before we recorded this first album, we had the possibility to be on tour with another group on this label called RG. Okay. One guy of them lives now in Washington D.C. The other guy died, and the third guy is Afro, who lives in Cologne. You maybe had also.
What's his name?
Afro. This white guy from who made the song with Curse and Stieber Twins right now, and MC and
I know the name though.
For sure, man. He was like Too Strong the biggest lyrical inspiration for us. And this group was on this independent records. They gave us a boost. They took us on tour. We could learn from them, and we looked also up to them, and we learned about them from them. So we had this connection through this group, and everything with every release they had on this little independent label, the movement became bigger. Like RG sold like 25,000 copies from their first album. Wow. Then 2 years later we dropped our album, we sold like 50,000. Wow. And this independent label became bigger and bigger, and made then this joint venture with Universal Group for like €1.5 million for a release schedule for like 2.5 years, where they had to put out four albums, and two of them was like the Creutzfeld Jakob album, the RG album. Then there was their other independent group named The Clan, and the fourth used to be this first solo album of Kool Savas. But then he was on our label too. Then he broke up with Put the Needle, and instead of going to Universal, he made a bigger deal with BMG. And put his first album on this. So this broke everything apart from this independent label roster. And to fulfill this deal with Universal, we put our second album from Creutzfeld Jakob, also as to close the deal over the distribution of Universal and Put the Needle, because after this first big success, we had the chance to also get another deal, maybe at BMG or another group, big major label. But we make like then, okay, you say like, okay, fuck it, let's make this the second deal to the same conditions that we make for the first, and this was for the how you say economic, for the financial thing aspect. This was a very bad decision. We were straight loyal to our
loyal to
a group and to the label, because they gave us the first chance. They believed in us, and we had to fulfill this contract so that the whole thing didn't break up.
So the first album, when you found out like, oh, now Def Jam is going to be a part of this.
Yeah.
I mean, how does this make you feel?
You couldn't believe it, because Def Jam was like this label from the States.
The number one label.
One label. When everybody at this time in the 90s and late 80s, it released every month. This is like, you have to, now let me put it this way, nowadays every week comes a new album.
Yes.
But in the 90s already, the impact of Def Jam was so big that every month came another big major artist. You was like, wow, man, this is overwhelming. So much music from the US, and so much inspirations, incredible. And now this make a German independence. So this was great. Of course we wanted to take this show.
So now, of course, this album comes out, you're doing tours. This is and what was, I guess you're like 19?
I was 19, 20 years old.
So, I mean,
and the first album popped out, and we went like 4 years on tour before we could make a second album. 4 years, repeatedly every summer on the biggest festivals like Spash, Out for Fame, blah blah blah, Rhine Hour, and all the festivals that existed at this time, without releasing a new album. This impact was so big that they asked us for the third time in a row, man, could you come again and to the festival? So we didn't literally had no time to record a new album, because we was on tour every weekend.
Wow.
And you know, like in these days, it took like 1.5 years to record the album, to press it, to make the vinyl, to go to produce the videos, to shot the videos, to shoot the videos. It takes a long time till you drop another album.
Yeah. Now it's like this, but before it was more process. All right, and now I know from you've also told me this yourself, that like with the second album, you didn't.
They couldn't
achieve the same success or something. And why do you think that was?
I think because we had like this development in our group itself, as the group members. We was like 20 at the beginning, and when we made the second album, it was like 25. And things started to get in German a little, I don't want to say jiggy, but we tried to make more popular music. And by the way, in these 4 years only touring, we had a how can I say it? We developed another style of beats. The second album, if you listen to it, is more melodic, and the beats are still banging and still louder,
but not as dark.
Not as dark, exactly. There was like how can I compare it? It was very influenced by the state, by the state of art at this time from the U.S. scene.
Yeah.
And instead of when on the other side, the first album was more like, I don't say German underground hip-hop beats, but you can explain it this way. We wanted to sound like a modern, fresh American artist. And I think because the people in audience, the people in Germany, the audience, who couldn't
accept it?
Oh no, they couldn't follow our development, because we was 4 year touring and without releasing a song, and then you come out with a totally other sound.
They're like,
this was like
so
totally different.
So when it came out, did you automatically see, like, let's say, the feedback from the people?
Yeah, because hip-hop always was changing. 2004 and 5, it became more street rap. The first gangster rap lyrics. Berlin was coming up at this time. Before 2004, I would say like Stuttgart Hamburg, Cologne was like the melting pot of German hip hop. The industry was in Cologne. The TV shows had their Viva, MTV. There were all these
like the commercial.
The commercial, how you say? The production team, Viva, the station, the broadcast station, there was all Cologne. And then moved to Berlin. So automatically in 2004, Berlin became the capital of hip hop, which is still today. And this made like easier for Berlin groups to expose themselves, to get bigger. And this was the time, I don't want to say gangster rap, but street rap became more and more popular. And it wasn't necessary to make music where you say, okay, let's focus on the lyrics. So all of us now suddenly it became more important to have an image. Yeah, you got me.
Yeah.
It's the same procedure that you have in the States like 20 years after. No?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's crazy. And what did that do? Because that was the last album you guys did.
Yeah.
So when this album comes out and you're seeing the feedback from the people. Mm-hmm. What did this do to you guys?
We were still 4 years touring. From this point, we also went. Then we went again on tour, and because we was a live group first, before we had before we put our first music, we were live MCs, entering ciphers, freestyle battles for 2 and 3, 4 years. Then we made our first album, again touring 4 years, make the second album, which had less impact. Again 4 years touring, and this slowly became like.
Started to die down a little.
And after our second album, we went on tour and mixed for the show. This was like 1.5 hour show. We mixed like 50% of the old album with 50% from the new record. We mixed our show, and this became less and less and less. And if you see like 20 years later, when we make like revival tours and shows and concerts, there are only like 2 or 3 songs left from the second album.
Wow. And the rest is all the whole way. Yeah, that's cool. So I
think this is the definition of a classic, because time tells you which exists. Time will tell.
Time will tell. And you know, I spoke to different people, so I know that there was a period where you kind of stopped rap. You kind of took a break from, because people used to tell me back in the day, like you was the smoke master, you know?
I was smoking weed, pushing weed here and with the guys, because this was also a big part of, I want to say hip hop culture, but it is a part. Like Cypress Hill made it in America. This German graffiti scene, everybody was smoking weed and you was pushed like into it. So I made, and all the guys. I was a skateboarder first before we make music.
I didn't know that. Skateboard culture and weed is like this.
Exactly. This was like, let me say, this was 88, 89. So 3-4 years before I really get into hip hop. I was skateboarding, and the sound of skateboarding culture was either rap, either punk music, which had also this rebellic and this critical lyrics, and on the other side, it was like Rage Against the Machine and Public Enemy. This was so big. Yeah. This was so big in skateboarding. I don't know why, but every jam and every skateboard contest we were, Public Enemy was on the playlist, and this was before. So I didn't knew exactly what it was, but from time to time, the skateboard thing became less, and the hip hop thing became bigger. And this is like the weed was in it, and to get back to the music, when it slowed down in about 2004, I had like. My first solo release came in 2007. This 3 years between 2004 and 2007, I was selling weed and playing poker, making living off of poker. This is crazy, man. And you know who's, because you met her, you know who was an even crazier poker player than myself? Is Angela, my wife. So
what?
She was so sick on online poker. Yeah,
Angela, I love her. She's a gangster. Angela's the best. She's the best.
Yeah.
So no music in this time.
Yeah. Still, we had like from month to month period, gigs. Like gigs, but not so much as when we was touring like Austria, when we had this whole Untouchable Lakmann solo, where we're collaborating with you, touring with you. This was like every second week we had a tour somewhere else, and this is like we make a living till today.
Yes, sir.
But at this time it was like, okay, 2 or 3 months without a concert, then again a concert with Creutzfeld Jakob, then a month no concert, and so this was very few. This was a period where I made the least of music expression of myself, and this was the time I didn't write lyrics. Also, I wasn't thinking about releasing new music. I was like, as we still had money from the first album and the second album, and from the industry and from the living makeup. So I said, okay,
I'm chilling. All right, and then I know Colin, shout out to Mr. Nice.
Yeah.
He says that one day you just went to the studio, they locked you in the studio, and you just was writing and writing and writing and writing and writing and writing, and then
after my wife gave birth to Tabata, my first child, we had like trouble for a week or two. I moved out. We had like a big fight, big argument. I moved
gangsta,
out.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, but this, I think, this is another process, because from a guy that was making a single living in music to become a family father, something happens and you change and you have to make a development. So this was a hard time for everyone. I moved to Colin's place. He was living with 2 or 3 guys in Siegen. I brought my rhyme book with me, and he was actually the one who convinced me, man, this are so dope lyrics. I got a bunch of beats here. Let's record your first solo album. And then we made this happen. And from this point, Ear Touch, the label, which was the like a one-man label with a label code and nothing behind it. I brought all my impact and knowledge to it, and then we released like my first solo album in 2011, I think.
Wow.
Or 2009, 2010, something like that.
Yeah, and then, but now at this point, now you have a new sound.
Yeah.
Now you have a new
and I'm a much better rapper than in the first. In the first day, you have to think about it. No one really showed us how to rap really tight, really on point, to make the right breathing, the right expression, how to
patterns,
the delivery was, how you say it, was big pun and super fast, super aggressive.
That's what I thought. It was like big punch style.
Yeah, and now it's like laid back, more than Slick Rick.
All right. So, did you guys ever say like, yo, as far as the group, did you guys ever say like, yo, that's it, we broke up, or did you ever say like, hey, like, is there plans for new music, or there's no like?
No, Philip on the other side, he became this
neurosurgeon. That is incredible.
Yeah, and one of the best in Germany too. So
wow.
Yeah. And I became like professional musician, and but we never quit, like that we say officially statement. Hey, this band
is over,
split apart. We still have till today, and he's also my new album. I always feature him.
Nice.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And still making shows together, but the bigger amount of shows it's was like with Untouchable, with Mess and Kareem, and with Lakmann solo.
Yeah. And then so Vit and Untouchable. Yeah. For those that don't know, this is a 3-man crew. That's you, Magic Mess, and
Al Kareem. Yeah, exactly.
And you guys just recently celebrated 10 years of the first album. That was last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so how many albums did you guys put out?
3 more than Creutzfeld Jakob, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. I was in a working ethic, in a working flow with my second group, or in the second period in my late career.
The second phase of your career.
Yeah, exactly. I was more into this work ethic. I wasn't young anymore, and I understood like that this became a business that you have to work out. And all of a sudden, I released 1 year solo, 1 year with Untouchable, 1 year solo, every year another record, and this made us able to get again every year on festival, on tour, on a regular basis, and to make a footprint into the German scene. I would say between 2011 and 2019, these 8-9 years, everybody knew Vit and Untouchable.
Wow. So, you know, a lot of people, let's say from the U.S. that don't know, like some of the biggest artists from Germany is like Sido, right? He's one of the biggest guys. Kool Savas, right? He's another one of the big guys. I know they got Sammy Deluxe. But on Sido and Kool Savas, they made an album together, right? And then on this album, they're featuring you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and this was a big honor on the one side, but on the other side, we featured Kool Savas on his first major record deal appearance.
Wow.
He had his first feature with the song Federhandschuh on our first major record. And so they always declare in interviews and in public, yo, we are a big fan of Lakmann. So, and I appreciate they don't have to, but if they say this is like more promotion I give when I make interviews or promo deals and blah blah blah. And so I made another song with Sido and like 10 other songs with Kool Savas.
Wow.
But the biggest one are like these of their collabo album, and there was also a mega remix from Sido in 2016-15, and these both of these records, they became platinum and gold, and this was also like a big boost for me. Everybody in Germany suddenly remembered this name. And I was like, okay, man, I'm happy about it.
It's incredible, you know. I love that song too. Neue Welt, how you say it?
New World, exactly.
New World. Yeah, it's a very good song. So right now, what is Lakmann working on?
Yeah, I had in the meantime my new solo album is coming out in May, June. I received the final master last week, so this is pretty fresh, pretty new. I had this podcast I tried out with hiphop.de, which is like the biggest one of the biggest hip hop sites website, and after my solo album, I already wrote. You know Morlockko Dilemma for sure.
Yes.
He had this little collaboration thing going on, the series where he produces beats for several rappers. This Morlockko Plus thing, and the last record he put out was with Sammy Deluxe. And now he says, okay, you always was one of my top 5 MCs in Germany. Why don't we make an LP together? And the first time he asked me was like before Corona, 2019. And I said, hey man, I'm so busy with Untouchable, with my solo. Let's put this like in the future. And all good things, I say, happen for a reason. It's like God's plan, even if it takes 5, 6, 7 years. And now I already wrote this album, and
he's fire. He got good beats.
Yeah, he got sick beats, man. This is a whole other sound structure that people can hear me on, because the people that hear me know me from Creutzfeld Jakob beats, or know me from Witten Untouchable beats, which are completely produced by Rook, who also makes a lot of my solo stuff. But this is like another sound that he lays down for me. The Morlockko Dilemma beats are crazy.
That's a nice collaboration.
Yeah, and he told me, man, I got this crazy loop from a Russian record I found at the market, at the bazaar, blah blah blah, and I made a crazy beat, made me jump on it, and I heard the beat the first time. I said, man, what the hell is this? Very unpopular beat, and it took me like a month to understand, to feel it, and to get it the flow and to write it. And this is like the maybe the biggest surprise for people outside.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. That's awesome. I'm very happy to hear that, because it's crazy. Many people like Morlock, because from the research that I found, is like he has a big cult following of people that love and respect his music. And then you the same. You have people that you have this cult following. So that's a very nice. Again, this is just what I hear from the people.
And exactly. And the industry awarded him, or the journalists awarded him for the most lyrical, one of the top 3 most lyrical rappers, because his wordplay is so big.
That's what I heard.
Not only crazy, his beats, he got crazy words and crazy rhymes patterns. And you think about, when you think of him and heard of his music, you think, man, how he came up with this word? I never heard this word before. And
he's got style. He's a funny guy.
Yeah,
very funny guy. He also told me that you gave him an opportunity, like one of his first chances.
Like Kool Savas, I was the first, because he comes from East Germany, at this time from Chemnitz, from Leipzig, and I was the first major MC who gave him a shot, let's say, who was on his first or second album. Wow. He had only one feature, and at this time, this was the time we were so big and popular, and Creutzfeld Jakob was on MTV and Viva and Airplay, rotation, blah blah blah, and all of a sudden an underground artist from East Germany comes up with this LP and features Lakmann. It was a big thing, and since then we had like this connection. Yeah,
that's nice. And he was producing back then too, or?
Yes, some of his beats, yeah.
Okay. No, that's so. So if you have to give some words to artists,
Yeah.
that new generation, old guys that's new, for being a successful hip hop artist, what words of wisdom would you say?
To be a successful artist. I don't know, man, because I think I would be successful myself, man. You told me a lot of
you
stuff.
Are successful,
yeah, but not as much as I would deserve, or I think it would be possible. Because for me, it was always express yourself first, and culture and integrity, and we were with. It's like in our DNA that we are anti-commercial. This is so a paradox, because on the other side, in nowadays, everybody wants to be popular, famous, and make money.
Yeah.
It's understandable, but we came from a generation which maybe didn't have to gain so much success. I don't know why, but we were also like underground.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's another term for being not successful, because I think most of the underground people maybe inside wants to be successful.
Of course.
I think work ethic is a big thing, continuity is a big thing, availability is a big thing. If you, for me right now, to get back what I'm doing right now with this first album after 5 years, which comes around now this year, it feels again like starting from the scratch. If you don't release like 5-6 years, maybe a whole new generation and they forgot you. Even in this time where Spotify and social media make this time so short term, and so it don't last as much as long as back in the 90s. So I think these 2-3 things I can advise to people, and maybe this is like a cliche, but being authentic and keeping it real,
important.
It's important. Maybe not for the short time, but at the long run.
Yeah.
You can be maybe successful if you jump on the hype and make an image and be a bandwagon of some styles and trending, or other people trying. So like in the NBA, something which has a success, the other teams copying and following it. This is like in the hip hop scene exactly. And maybe this work out for 2-3 careers and artists, but on the long run, if you try to establish yourself and your personal and your character, this maybe will be the better path for you.
I agree with that. Who are 5 German MCs that you love? 5 U.S. MCs.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm very unpopular. I would say my everybody says like El Kareem and Magic Mass got crazy bars. I made a group with them which made more album than the legendary Creutzfeld. Then I put number 3 Flipstar from Creutzfeld. I put MC Afro from ARG, which was for all these guys I mentioned, inspiration and a father figure lyrically. He was like the godfather from German. He was like the first Nas we had. This is so lyrically and so deep are his lyrics. Okay. It took me, like I was a kid, like 16, 17 years. It took me 10 years sometimes to understand the line in German, because he was so knowledge.
Wow. Okay.
So intellectual, but not like a teacher or a professor, like a street smart guy. Wow. Imagine a guy who raps so intellectual, but on a street smart thing. Yeah. So Afro, El Kareem, Mr. Flipstar, Magic Mass, and the fifth I would say Morlockko Dilemma, because like I mentioned, his wordplay is so
crazy.
Big. Yeah, these 5 are these 5 inspire me and put songs out where people say, man, how did they do this, man? And also, which is a good indications, these people are the people that make songs where you say to yourself, maybe, man, I wish I would have this song.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
U.S. guys.
Okay. Okay. This is very, man, I didn't think about this. Okay, let me say. KRS One was big for me. Yeah, but I had
the best performance.
Yeah, one of the best performers. But it took time before KRS. Before I consider KRS one of my favorite. Of course, there was like one of my kids and Angela is coming. So before KRS came out, there was of course Nas.
Of course.
Because he had this big impact.
Nas is a great one.
Yeah, of course, it's a classic. You have to mention Nas. But then, also, which I experienced now a few weeks ago, I listened to the first Organized Confusion album, Stress the Extension Agenda.
Okay.
And I tried to I research on YouTube the songs with lyrics, because even in nowadays it took me hard English understanding to get every word of Pharaoh Munch. Yeah, so I have to put now Pharaoh Munch.
Yeah, he's a beast. Underrated, I think.
Underrated for sure.
I think he's underrated.
I don't know. Maybe I heard rumors, but I don't know why this people isn't so successful.
Well, like back then it was the different scenes, like the raucous scene. But he was like, they had the song back in the day with Fudge Pudge or whatever. I forgot what it was called. But anyway, then he went into the raucous era. And he had the big hit, Throw Your Hands Up, bam, 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 bam.
This Simon
Says. That was huge. That was a huge record.
Sure.
But
our generation knew him before from Organized Confusion. And you said something funny, because this raucous metaphor you put, this is like the same. This is the way you could describe our situation with Put the Needle. We were like rockers, and other thing was like major pop.
Def Jam. Yeah, that's kind of like how it is. Nobody from, I didn't hear you mention anybody from Wu-Tang. No Wu-Tang?
No, Wu-Tang I was an inspiration as the whole group.
Okay.
As the whole group. Incredible inspiration. But before I mention Wu-Tang, I could say...
there's a lot of rappers.
Before Wu-Tang, I was also a big Tribe fan.
I love Tribe.
Tribe Called Quest was incredible, man. And even... And a lot of the goats like Rakim and Coogee Rap and Polo, I discovered I had to make my research on it. I wasn't like in even EPMD as a group. I have to discover after I met like pop like Biggie and Nas. So this was like, because
really okay.
Yeah, so I have to put Biggie in this conversation
for sure.
So let's say Karis one, Pharoah, Nas, Biggie, and the fifth. It's a hard one.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's not a fair question, but yeah.
And maybe let's put it a little or push a little bit forward, because all the guys I mentioned is like really 90s.
Yep.
And maybe said another big influence was Jadakiss.
Oh, Jada. Great flow, great voice.
And he touched me and reached me in a period where I was no more the kid from the beginning who couldn't rhyme, where I was like proceeding and advancing in my own style, in my own art and form to rap, and I could attach to it and take things from it. While the other artists, I was listening and inspired, but I couldn't translate their form and gain something from it and translate it to German. This took me a lot of time because I wasn't always ready. It's like it's a feeling first and understanding, then following later, because of the language barrier you have, and because of your age and personal. But at the time I was like 25, late 20s, and Jada came out with the Lux.
Yep.
I could attach more and gain more from it. So Jada is a big inspiration.
Good, man. Well, I appreciate it, bro. And I just want to say to you, my brother, I'm happy to hear that you have all this work coming now. Yeah. Because, I was on your ass like, yo, bro, you got to do work. Come on, you got to do more. And it sounds like, I'm very excited. I don't know I don't know when that album comes out with Morlockko, so I don't know if we mentioned this yet or not. I don't know, but I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, I'm excited because it was like not a big break, but these 2 months, January and February, where we only had 2 deals, is the longest period in my last 15 years where I was not touring. So I'm looking forward. I don't know how when you leave back to the States.
Tuesday.
Yeah. But you come back and we be on tour again.
Hopefully. Yeah, of course. I come back.
So at least when I make my new album, and we put a tour together, we connecting with Colin, and then we can make some shows again.
Yeah, absolutely. I have we'll talk more after, but I have some plans and stuff that I'm doing. I'm gonna come back in July, but that's only for holiday. Mm-hmm. But then I come back in September, October to do like tour.
Yeah, this is a good plan for our tour too. We
So
release
it's
in May, June, and takes like 1-2 months.
Because
and-
June is festival, July is
exactly.
festival, so like September, October. Yeah, now we put it together. I look forward. It's always a good fun time talking with my brother.
Thanks, bro, man.
Hey.
Thanks you put me on this interview because this is my first English interview. I hope everything getting what I try to express myself. We try to make it without translation. And,
Everything is super, bro.
I'm exciting in the comments, man. Like, man, who is this weirdo Fokis talking to, man?
Yo, bro, I thank you again, man. I think you're doing a fantastic job with the culture. You've laid down so much for the people, influence-wise. Keep working, bro. And
Man, people need to hear this from time to time. Thank you,
keep
man.
working and keep the video games. Keep being a funny man. You're one of the funniest ever, and I got nothing for love for you, my
Thanks,
brother.
brother. Okay.
Dankeschön.
Danke, man.
Tschüss.
Tschüss. Mega, man.
Yo.
Okay.